Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Vinod.
Hi.
I can see people moving out for lunch, I guess. But we'll make it short and interesting, everyone. So customer centricity in unified commerce is a very big topic. It will be interesting to unpack it in the next 15 to 20 minutes. I have a little bias towards this session. I must admit that upfront. And the bias is towards Trent, which Vinod represents, and he is the head of IT there and managing the technology part of the business. And the bias is actually because it's one of my most admired retail businesses, and more so that the team at Trent, it's just fantastic to work with. Over the last 25 years, I've got a chance to work with various retailers across the geography in Asia, India, Middle East. And Trent has been one of the most unique experiences, both as a consumer. I do shop at Westside as Zudio, and also as a partner to Trent, where we have implemented some of the ETP technologies. But more interesting is, Trent is a bundle of different, you can say, aspiring brands, like in the form of the way Westside format is. Zudio, which is fast-growing, very, very, young and yuppie, fast fashion brand, to the challenges which are there in having a fresh product in Star Bazaar, and whole range of categories which they carry. Across 900 stores now, I suppose, yes, and about 120 plus cities in India, and now growing internationally also. And to top it all, actually, in the track record of Trent, yesterday also we heard, some discussions around that. A 50% plus growth year on year is just fabulous. I have all the reasons to admire Trent, actually. Let's dive into the topic of customer centricity in unified commerce. I think it's a big subject. I would like to start, Vinod, with you to understand how do you, look at it both from Trent point of view as well as from as a business as well as technology in terms of being customer centric. It's been a topic which has been spoken almost in every board meetings or business meetings, but still I think there is always something to explore, something more to fine tune and make it more relevant, considering the different dynamics in the business.
First of all, Bhavesh, the admiration is mutual between Trent and ATP, and I think the amount of respect we have for you and your teams is definitely something that we cherish. To your point, Bhavesh, customer centricity and bringing the customer together, I think there are 4 or 5 very important pillars that work along. And we at Trent at least have been focusing on them by first of all keeping it very, very simple. I think Venkat also mentioned yesterday, keeping it simple and sticking to the plan is the way to go. We keep on probably learning from there, try to see how things pan out, whether they were successful, not successful, and figure out what is the next way to probably make it successful if it is not. One of the first and most important pillar for us is to make sure that we have a unified data in place. That's something that we have really put a lot of efforts on in our organization to unify data from multiple channels that we operate on, especially with Westside. Zudio is not online, but Westside is definitely online. So there's an online channel, there's an offline channel, and it's not just about sales when we say unifying data on. Most of the retailers actually try and just get the sales data, unify basis that, and try to do it. What we have tried to do in addition to that is there are a lot of interest, a lot of wish listing that happens, a lot of work that happens around sales being the final outcome of it. And we try to unify all of it together. This gives a very, very rich outcome in terms of how the entire movement on the customer behavior happens, and basis that there can be decisions that can be taken. Obviously, we have been running our stores for quite more than 25 years now. We have a lot of loyal customers. We have a very successful loyalty membership that we have, Weststyle Club, which is with Westside. Recently, we've started something called as Fans Code for Zudio, which is also a semi-loyalty program, if I may say so, if such a term even exists. But the idea is to get more information from the customer and bring it together and make sense out of it to start with. That's the first important pillar. The second important thing that we also focus on is having a unified system and integration in place. Again, when we are talking of data, the data can only be brought in together if all the systems that are running this are able to talk to each other. A lot of times, and even with us, we had this challenge of running multiple systems, legacy systems doing, obsolete systems running, causing a lot of challenge in terms of how can we bring all of this together. So doing a complete platform change, creating a digital core for our own selves, ensuring that we have the best of breed of applications, best of breed of databases working with us. One of them was the POS implementation that we did. Obviously, there was a lot more in terms of ERP, SAP that we worked upon, and a lot of other systems that we brought together on. Bringing them up to speed and making them ready for scale and growth that we had envisaged it for was another very, very important step that we focused on. That further enhanced the way data was brought in, and obviously that is the fuel that is required for bringing it together. And maybe the third one, and there are a few more, but I'll probably talk the top three. The third important pillar is the way hyper-personalization happens for customers. Obviously, after making sense, after enabling the fuel for the data unification that you have worked upon, the most important part of that is how do we make sense to the customer? And making that sense to the customer is the key for the customer to stay engaged with you. So work being done around that, making sure that there is hyper-personalization for the customer, knowing how the patterns of the customer browsing are, how the patterns of the customer behavior in the store are. Through our loyalty program, we get a lot of insights. We get a lot of feedbacks from our customers. Using all of it, combining together, making sense, and then trying to place a point of view in front of the customer is what we are eventually doing. Our business essentially, being a fashion apparel retailer primarily, is a point of view business. Every Friday we make sure that we present our point of view in front of our customers and hope that the customer would like that point of view. And that point of view has to resonate and relate to the customer. All of these pillars help doing that, and that's the intention of this entire activity.
Truly, truly interesting and insightful, Vinod, in terms of how the unified systems, unified customer view, hyper-personalization, which you spoke about, and with so many different concepts which you have, right from Westside down to the grocery business, the fashion, apparel, fast fashion, and food, and across so many diverse customer demographics, actually. Talking about your digital initiatives and linking it back to the unified commerce topic, what has been the digital online kind of journey? I know yesterday also we discussed that in one of the forums that it's all about direct to consumer for Trent, but with the pressure which is our competition which is happening in the market in terms of online, offline, and how do you maintain the brand kind of consistency across the different channels which you work on? It would be interesting to know on that.
So Bhavesh, there are certain ethos in the organization that we stick to. I think, again, I'm referring to what Venkat mentioned yesterday. We will always remain private label business. I mean, that ethos is clear and completely known to everyone. Second important fact that we also do is the fact that we will always be a direct-to-customer brand. Even when we were working with Tata Click way back in 2016, when we launched our website business online for the first time ever on Tata Click in 2016, May 27, 2016, when Tata Click went live. We were very, very clear that we are not going to give inventory in the hands of someone who doesn't understand what our brand is. So we were very clear that irrespective of whether we are on a marketplace or not, or whether we do our own website, obviously we will process it ourselves, but we will ensure that the entire direct-to-customer ethos is maintained. So what we did in 2016 when we started off with Tata Click is we ensured that while the order-taking mechanism, which we were not capable of at that point in time as Westside as a brand, was through Tata Click, the processing of the order still would continue with us. So there was no inventory being shared or anything of that sort happening with them. We just ensured that whatever was coming to us, we would pack it ourselves. We would ensure that the customer is provided what she is asked for. Fulfillment happens through us. We started with a model which was a warehouse model, a warehouse fulfillment model to start with. quickly realized that obviously the width of the options are never going to be enough at a warehouse, because obviously you don't stock everything in the warehouse. I mean, why would you? There's no customer in the warehouse. So we started shipping from stores. That was a quick learning that we did, and we were skeptical initially, started pushing more and more stores into ship from store model and realized that that's how it works. Then obviously brought in a lot of supply chain related actions. How do we bring the stock faster, easier to customers at a lower cost? So a lot of initiatives that were done. But the ethos was always that we remain D2C. There was no reason for us to think otherwise. So that was probably the key reason that we probably feel the customer would get a standard, a very, very simple experience which she expects from the brand.
Fantastic. I think direct to consumer has its own benefit and of course its challenges. I think in terms of the way you explained on how the Tata Click journey started, I think 2016 onwards, and I think you've stuck to that. You've not really changed in terms of the online channel. Going forward, do you see the same trend continuing in terms of the way you look at your new brands being launched, the concepts being launched, and the way you would actually try to kind of exponentially grow? I understand you're also planning an international expansion very soon. So how do you see that impacting your current way of operations and going forward from a technology perspective as well?
So Bhavesh, we have learned this over a period of time. It's not that this was something that we decided one day and it worked for us. There was a lot of learning that has happened in this, and a lot of mistakes that we have done, which we have learned from and corrected, and then eventually have found this model to work for us. So there is no reason for us to say that, okay, we would reinvent the wheel again and find a different way of working, because this probably works with us. So we will probably stick to it. With the technology front, because technology is ever changing, every 3 years there will be something new that you would want to probably experiment and make it better. There is going to be a continuous innovation in that space. As a technology leader for the organization, my simple objective is that whatever is relevant for the business, I should be able to bring it to my business, to my teams, and I'm able to, and I should be able to deliver value to the organization. So be it my digital core that we tried to create within the organization by changing multiple technologies that we were operating on, or be it the scalability that a brand like Zudio is currently probably seeing. It was not accidental that Zudio suddenly started growing. Obviously, it was a planned move, and way back in 2021, when we were on the drawing board figuring out how do we scale up these operations, one of the key actions that we wanted to take was the fact that the technology has to get revamped to support the kind of scale and growth that we were doing. The kind of volumes that the Zudio business is currently driving, while whatever revenue they are generating, the volumes, given the price point that they operate, is significantly higher than what Westside does, and maybe probably the highest in the market today. I don't know, but maybe yes. So to do those kind of volumes, you need to have technology that support, and obviously when we are opening 200, 250 stores a year, it has to have a multiplier to it. So there's a lot of work that has happened in the back end to make all of this possible.
Vinod, you mentioned about learnings. Maybe it would be nice for the audience to understand, what were the, 1 or 2 key learnings or challenges, especially when you're doing, high level of digital transformation. And in the last maybe 12 months or maybe 24 months, there's a significant amount of digital transformation you've driven and led actually. So maybe if you can share a little bit about the challenges you faced and how did you manage to, overcome those? So,
Bhavesh, one of the most important things that we do whenever we plan for anything in our organization is to keep the customer at the center of everything and figure out what would a customer experience or a touch point need. With a technology perspective also, that stays true. So when we started looking at our application stack, we realized that there were so many obsolete systems that we were running, so many upgrades that were pending, that we could not grow, or we could not scale up with that kind of architecture that we were focusing on. So one of the first learnings that we started applying our thought on was the fact that can we do a program, not just a project, but a full program on how do I go ahead and upgrade my entire stack. And obviously that included my ERP, that included my point of sale, that included my PLM, that included my warehouse management system. Everything had to be touched upon because the kind of scale that we were planning, it was impossible to continue with a system that probably would only do 1.2, 1.3x. We were talking of multiples here. We were talking of 3x, 5x kind of a growth, or maybe 10x kind of a growth here. So obviously that needs to be supported by able systems that can handle, if I want to plan for 10x, I will plan for 100x at least, right? I mean, that's the way that's the way we probably look at it. So obviously there was a lot of learnings in that space where we were trying to see, work out with a few evaluations, do a few proof of concepts, understand how things are, understand how it works with our business, and eventually figure out what is the right application or the right solution for the process that we are trying to optimize on. And from there, once you start figuring out, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. It just keeps on happening one thing after another, and you have to start fitting the right block at the right place, and then it starts coming together.
So Vinod, at this point in time, after going through such rapid expansions and growth in the last 12 to 24 months, as a technology leader, what keeps you awake at night? Or, if at all, anything keeps you awake?
There are always two things that every technology leader is worried about. First is the tech obsolescence, which is a truth that every tech leader realizes will happen. And given the fact the amount of technology changes that are happening nowadays, it's even more real. Every 2-3 years, you have a potential obsolescence that you are looking at. So that is something that really keeps everyone, including myself, on our toes in technology, where we would want to keep on looking for what is the best value that I can derive out of my current technology and how can I make it better. The second important one is obviously security, information security, cyber security. All of these areas are something that are more and more coming into a focus for everyone. Obviously, information security, there's a lot of regulatory related work that is happening. DPDP is coming for us. It's just a matter of notification of the rules now for all of us to follow. Cyber security is a big threat for everyone in the country. Obviously, all the organizations that are there, I mean, no one can claim that they are 100% sure or 100% secure, but at least we would want to be the last one that any hacker would want to probably get into. If there are 5 options for him, I should be the 5th one. So that's the way, I mean, these two things are really, really worrisome, and obviously you cannot be complacent on both the areas, both obsolescence and security.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have a first-hand experience of the security part within Trent, I must say that.
Yes.
So we're left with about a few minutes to take an audience question, maybe 1 or 2, if anyone has any questions on this topic of customer centricity in unified commerce. Before we take a break for lunch, I suppose. Anyone in the audience? All right, I think we got most of them prepared for having lunch now, Vinod. So thanks, Vinod, for the insightful conversation here in terms of how, from trend perspective and personal perspective, you've managed to kind of exponentially grow, looking at different concepts, different customer demographics, and constantly, innovate on the digital transformation journey. And being fortunate to be part of that in some way or the other, I feel privileged as well. Thank you very much, Vinod.
Thank you very much, Bhavesh.
Thank you.
Thank you.